Sunday, May 7, 2023, the fifth Sunday of Easter. In my Father's house there are many rooms, yet you know the way where I am going. Jesus means to say that he has to go through a difficult path. He adds that his disciples would have known very well that way because he often spoke of it. Thomas replies on behalf of all, "We do not know this way, and we cannot guess where you want to go." Jesus explains, he himself will be the first to run the way. Once his mission is accomplished, he will be back and will take the disciples with him. He will infuse them with his courage and strength, so they will be able to follow in his footsteps. The way is the difficult path toward Easter. It demands the sacrifice of life. Jesus talked about it many times, but the disciples were always reluctant to understand. When he insisted on the gift of life, they preferred to be distracted, thinking about something else. In this perspective, the question about the seats in the Father's house becomes clear. Whoever has agreed to follow the way traveled by Jesus finds himself immediately in the kingdom of God, in the Father's house. This house is not paradise, but the Christian community. There are many places, that is, many services, many tasks to be performed. The many places are nothing but the various ministries, the different situations in which everyone is required to make available to the brethren their own capacity, the many gifts received from God. The second part of today's gospel is centered on the question of Philip. "Lord, show us the Father, and that is enough." Philip seems to be an interpreter of this intimate yearning of the human heart. He knows that no one has ever seen God, because he lives in unapproachable light, and whom no one has seen or can see. But he also recalls the bliss reserved for the pure of heart, for they shall see God. And he thinks that Jesus can satisfy this secret aspiration. Philip presents such a demand that seems to echo those expressed by Moses and the psalmist. In his response, Jesus shows the way to see God. One needs to look at him. He, Jesus, is the human face that God has taken to manifest himself, to establish a relationship of intimacy, friendship, and communion of life with his people. He, as St. Paul says, is the image of the invisible God, the radiance of God's glory, and bears the stamp of God's hidden being. There is no need for any arguments or reasoning. It is not worth it to get lost in inadequate philosophical investigations. Rather, to know the Father, it is sufficient to contemplate Jesus, to observe what he does, what he says, what he teaches, how he behaves, loves, whom he prefers, whom he attends to, caresses, and from whom he lets himself be caressed, with whom he dines, those he chooses, those he defends, because the Father does so. The works that Jesus fulfills are those of the Father. "Whoever has seen me has seen the Father," Jesus affirms. It is a gaze of faith that is required, a look that goes beyond appearances, beyond the purely material datum, a look that captures the revelation of God in the works of Jesus. It is this look, this seeing, that is believing.